After reading all the comments on there, including one of them that says put the old carburetor back in. Well, the old carburetor, which is right here, and I removed the carb bowl so I can get a bowl gasket for it. I got a gas line on it that I bought at. I'm spending a lot of money in my local hardware store, different kinds of hoses and angle fittings and everything else to try to keep changing that gas line over. I spent $14 again today on the damn thing. I think it was about $10 the day before. And this thing is dollaring me to death here. Now, this is, like I say, this is the old carburetor. So, I'm going to blow through this. I got the hose connected to the off camera again. Damn it. I'm going to blow through it. Listen. Okay. Now I'm going to hold up the float. If I can ever keep it in camera. I'm on an angle, so you're going to excuse me. I got it up now. Okay. Now normally it would be shut off. Okay, so we know we got a problem with the needle valve and seat. Okay, now the new carburetor that I got from Champion, which is still on the engine because I put it on there the other day. I pulled the bowl off of that today, and turned the gas cocks on. Gas was pouring out of the carburetor. When I closed the choke up like this, the gas stopped flowing. Okay? When I let it go, it continued coming out. Now, take this off. Now, you see this screw here. Now, on those 3 videos that I've given you links on my videos of the 3 YouTubers, not counting Terrell's, because I didn't put that in there, but Terrell said the same exact thing. You take this screw out. Now, this is the old carburetor. I never turned this. Now, according to those videos, this thing is turned out 5 turns. Although some of my viewers say 5 turns is too much. But that wouldn't cause it to leak. At least I don't think so. Now, we know this carburetor leaks because the float and needle valve most likely is no good. And it's springy. But the carburetor that's in the generator now, which I said was new from Champion in 2011, as a matter of fact, I still got the business card in here in the Champion envelope to Champion. They're out in California. I'm going to call them and see if I can maybe get a carb for it. They won't give it to me for nothing, but I might get the right carb. It's worth a try. It's worth a try. But I'm pouring money into this thing, and I don't really want to get rid of the generator. I've been looking at propane generators. They're not cheap. Propane only. And I had such good luck with Champion, I really don't want to get another brand. But whatever I get, it probably, unless I get the same model, I'm going to have to do the exhaust over again and everything. I had to modify that to get that to work. I really don't want to do that. I would like to be able to put another carburetor in. As far as off camera again. As far as converting it to propane, I've seen videos on that. It's not that easy. Everybody tells me this is easy. Well, let me explain something. The carburetor that's on the generator now, which came from Champion, as I said, in 2011, was not leaking. The only problem was the generator was surging. So I figured by looking at all these videos, remove this. Okay, remove this screw, making sure that when you put it back, tighten it in gently, and then back it out 5 turns. And then lift out this little thing down below here. Now, when this carb leaks, it looks like it's coming from up here. It could be coming out of here. My eyes don't permit me to see that stuff. I just can't see that good. So, it could be leaking anywhere. It could be leaking in the bowl gasket. Now, why is this carburetor all of a sudden leaking when all I did this morning, after I made that video and told you what I was going to do, that 37-minute video that I made about the carburetor update, why is it? It was not leaking until I messed with this. Everything I touch turns to shit. All right, now, this is the first time on this carburetor, this is the old carburetor now, this is the first time I've ever touched this. Okay? So, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to count the revolutions, and the screwdriver's got a mark here, you know, a label that's worn off, made in Germany. These are these screwdrivers I got from the Jewish City Flea Market. So, I'm going to put the screwdriver in so I can count the revolutions. All right? Now, I'm going to turn clockwise. I want to see if that's in 5 turns. Okay, remember, this is the original carburetor. I have never touched this. This would be the first time I touched this adjustment on this carburetor. On the replacement from Champion, yes, I messed it up. Good time, big time. So, this is already leaking anyway, so let's turn it. If I can hold this and keep me in camera here. Nope. That's tight. That's already turned in tight. So that might not be a jet. Maybe that's why it's leaking. I don't know. It only turned about a quarter of a turn. All right? It's turning very, very hard. And if you look at this, here, it's got flat sides here and here. The one that's on my carburetor in the generator has flat sides here and here. In other words, this thing got turned. But the fact that it leaks don't tell me anything. All right, I see what that is. That screw just goes up into here. See that? The threads come out here. So that's not a jet. So why are they saying 5 turns out? That comes up and then this hits it. Can you see that? I don't know. I can't see the viewfinder. I can see the viewfinder, but I can't tell where I'm at. I'm in the general area, but I can't see the detail. All right? I can do it with my magnifier. All right, so that's not the same setup. So let's take that. Let's get a Phillips here. All right, let's take that thing out, because this thing leaks anyways. We'll close that drawer before I bang into it here. It's not easy working like this, I'm telling you. I got nothing to lose on this one. This one can't be fixed. Not by me. All right, now. See how that is in there? Now you're supposed to be able to lift that thing up. You take it out. And that's what I did on the other one. I used a high E string, guitar string, and I was only able... All right. I got to use a magnifying glass on the camera screen here, so I don't even know what the hell I'm looking at here. You see the hole on the side? If I can ever get this in camera, because I'm twisted around trying to get this right. All right, you see that hole right there on the side? Okay. In here, there's a tiny little orifice. The E string guitar, the guitar string, will go in that hole. And I can see it in the big hole, but that's as far as it goes. It will not go, no matter how many times I try, it will not go further down to this end. I cannot see that. I cannot see in there at all. In other words, the guitar string, I can put it in this end. See my fingers wiggling here? It'll go in that little hole at the end, okay? And it'll end up in the bottom of the big hole on the side. But where my fingers are, it will not come out this end. And I held this up to light, and no light shines through. So they don't tell you that in those videos. All they're telling you to do is to ream the thing out. But they're not telling you whether it's supposed to be clear all the way through, or is it only clear and only can wire it from, and back in camera again, from here to here. In other words, from here to here there's an orifice. From here to here, I don't think there's anything. I think it's just plugged, although there's a hole there in this end, but the guitar string will not go in there at all. It'll just go in a little bit and dead end. All right. So in here, if you look down here, there is an orifice in there, okay? Now, if I look in there, you can't see it. But if I look in that hole, If you look in there carefully, you will see a hole here on the wall of this area, well, whatever you call it, and there's a hole here, okay? So, when you put this in, you see the hole in the side, the big hole here, okay? You can see that? All right. Those holes, in my opinion, are supposed to be lined up. In other words, see how this is shaped on the head? This is the way I had it. This is the way I took it out of this. In other words, it's hard to explain when I'm trying to see what I'm doing. I'm half blinded and I get so frustrated. All right. This is the way this one was. Like that. Okay? When I put mine in, I put it in this, off camera again, I put it in this way. All right? So, if I put it in that way, the hole is on this side and this side, instead of here and here. So, it's not going to match up with the holes that are in the walls, which I can plainly see in there. So, this thing has to be turned around. But that's not going to stop the carburetor from leaking. Another thing too, I took the bowl off again because somebody said maybe I got the gasket pinch on the carburetor that's in the generator now. Now you heard the generator, it was running, but it was surging. It was not leaking, although the carburetor bowl was a little wet no matter how many times I dried it, so the gasket's probably leaking. It's virtually impossible, I don't even think anybody with good eyes, when the carburetor is in the engine like this, to take the bowl gasket and put it up in there on the bowl and shove it in there. I did that, but how do I know that that's lined up? Because there's a groove all the way around here. So you really need to put the carburetor upside down on a bench, lay the gasket in here, put the bowl on, and then tighten it. Okay? So, that 5 turns out probably refers, see this hole here? That's a stop for the governor, I guess, the speed. Okay? So, that is not a jet. You can see right through it. You can see my finger moving on the other side. If I can keep this thing out of the way so you can see it. See the hole there? That just threaded hole. That this screw goes in. Okay? So I'm going to put that back together, and I'll be right back. I'm taking too much video time here. Also, as noted, there's a tiny, tiny O-ring right on the end of this. Okay? You can see the hole a little better maybe. There's a tiny O-ring, and it's intact. Alright, so again, I'm going to repeat myself. The guitar high E string went in that little brass area, and went in and came to a stop at the bottom right hand, as you're looking at it, portion of that hole. But the part where my fingers are in, it's apparently not open. In other words, there's no hole there. There's just a hole here, but without a microscope, I can't tell if there's a jet in there or not. Now you see how I got that in? That's the way I put this one in. So the one that's in the generator now that I tried to clean out is the flat sides on the left and the right, which is wrong. In other words, those holes are blocked off, so there's no passageway. So I had a hell of a time getting this screw in on the other carburetor because it's mounted on the engine, and it's very, very, very hard for me to see to get this screw into the hole. But as close examination, I'm able to do that. Now, the question is, do I want to go back outside and fart around with that damn thing again? I know it's still going to leak. Now, you want to hear something funny? Yeah, I'm sure you're ready for a little joke here. Okay, you remember me doing this, blowing through the hose here, which I got connected to the carburetor. You hear that? Now, listen. All right, now that's working. But I wouldn't trust it. It don't seem to be... It's more of a weight thing. The pin fell out onto the floor, of course, when I was jockeying this around. I don't know if something else came out or not, but I can see the needle valve, I guess, is what it is, over here. But there could be a little spring. I mean, it seems to be springy, but when you go this way, it's not. I don't know if there should be a spring under that or not. I'm no good at these things. I fail miserably with it. Now, I don't want to have to keep making these kind of videos and failures. I'm just showing you because sometimes I have to explain things 2 or 3 times to try to get my point across. Maybe I don't explain things good enough. I don't know. And that's why I always repeat myself. So, I know what I got to do. I got to put this bowl back on. I was able to get a bowl gasket. Where am I here? I'm not even in camera. From my local hardware store this morning at $3. As close as they could figure, it matches up. And here is the old bowl. And the old bowl gasket, which is kind of rough now. And the guy has good eyesight in the hardware store, and he matched it up, and he says, I think this is what you need. Now, what I did on the generator is I made sure my gasket was on there like that. And it's virtually impossible to do this on the generator. I got the nut on, of course, just so I don't lose it. You put this on and hope that you line it up. The best way to do it is to lay the gasket in that groove right there. Now the groove doesn't look too good, too clean, but that might be caulk or something in there, I don't know. So, Right now, I'm not going to put this new gasket on. I want to save it for the carburetor that's on there. One of the fellas, I do listen to your comments, I do read them, said to take this thing and put it on a steel bench or something, which I don't have. Bang this out to make sure, because sometimes when you tighten the nut here, this could be bent in and push up, and in other words, the nut will tighten before this will seal. So I didn't go that hard on it. I did it quite firm, but not hard. So right now, all right, this is okay. This is the way the carb goes on the engine as you're looking at the air cleaner. So as you're looking at this adjustment here, I always remember that this nut, which is the drain nut on the bowl, is in the dead center of CPE right here, right where my finger is. That should line up with that. That's, as I recall, the way it was in there. And then you put your nut in. But what I'm going to do now, I'll give you a report. Boy, I'm telling you, I'm smelling like gas out there. I'm going to try to do it if it's not raining. It's been good for a few hours. Because the weather's only going to go downhill. And there's no way I'm going to get this thing right. I expect the carburetor to actually leak heavily. But before I do that, I want to make sure that I get this low-speed jet oriented in the right direction. I have it turned the other way because I thought that's the way it was. I took my magnifier and I looked at it before I took this out, and as I recall, this is the way I thought it was. No, it was the other way. But obviously, it's this way. But this thing leaks anyway, so it's not going to matter. It's probably defective anyhow, and so is the one that's on the generator. All right, so enough of this flapping. I'll get right back to you with the bad news. As you can see, I got that thing turned around. I had it 180 degrees out, okay? But I can guarantee you it's still going to leak. And I took the bowl off and got the gasket lined up the best I can. The only way you really can do that is you got to take the carburetor out and do that. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but when I had this bowl off, I held this float up and the gas stopped coming out. So the needle valve and seat on this carburetor, which is the one Champion sent me, is fine. You ready? I know it's going to leak. Let me turn the gas cocks on. Let me see if I can do that on the camera. There's one. There's two. Get ready to shut this one off. Starts coming out. It's got to fill the bowl because I had the bowl off. It's going to take a while to fill the bowl. Now, there's still a possibility the bowl gasket could be leaking. But we know the float and needle valve is good because I held it up with my finger with the gas cocks turned on, and I didn't get any gas coming out. Dry so far. It's good so far. So could it be the leaking is from here? Because that thing was turned around? Because it was not leaking before, except the bowl, when I reached around, and I'm going to do that now. my finger on the other side. It's dry, there's nothing there. Alright. Wouldn't it be wonderful if I got this thing fixed? I don't have any confidence in myself. I'm sorry, but I have so many failures. Alright, so far so good. It's not leaking. Bone dry. Let me reach in here. On the bottom of the hose fitting. Well, there's a little bit of gas there. There's nothing I can do about that. It's running and not surging. I hope you can hear me. But when it might be in my imagination, but I think it's slowing down when I open it full choke, just a wee bit, and it goes a little faster when I bring the choke up to about halfway. But let me find out. Right now the choke is wide open. But I need to put a meter on it and see if I'm getting 60 cycles out of it. Sounds like it's going faster. I got it on half choke. Let me just go back to full choke. Or maybe not. Let me get my kilowatt out. Yes, it's reading high. Now, but it's changing. $123 volts. So let me adjust it by that plastic screw. I think that's the idle. I put the choke back to normal. Cycles. So usually 60 to 61 is usually what it was running before. Now let's take the choke halfway. Alright, let's open the choke again. Let's see what the voltage is. No, remember, that's no load. See that little yellow screw there? It sounds like it's a little unsteady. No leak. 124 volts. Now that doesn't sound good. Story of my life. The drill press is on right now. It surges with a load. we still got to run half choke. Half choke, it doesn't surge. I just opened up the choke. You can't have that. You cannot have surging. It damages equipment. Now, we have not fixed this. We stopped the leak. So that's it. I'm back to where I was before, except that I got to run half choke. If we've got to hook to the house, I got to. Well, let me take a look at the gasket, make sure it's not leaking. Everything's fine. What I'm going to do is one more thing. This screw up underneath here, I'm going to try to turn it. I only turned it a tiny bit. I'm going to put it on. Okay, now I'm going to try to adjust that now while it's doing that. The drill press is still on in there. The choke is wide open. Half choke, that's it. That's it, folks. At least I got it working. Run on half choke. 124 volts. 62 cycles. I can't get it to go below 61, 62 cycles, sometimes 63. So I have no idea what's going on, but at least it's running, but it won't power. In other words, it won't run the drill press without surging. So it has to run on half choke. My only hope is the carburetor that comes in for from eBay works. The only other thing I can do is to bring the whole thing over to that small engine mechanic and spend $200. It'll probably be $150, $200. Or I'd bring the carburetor to him, $50 an hour. It takes him about an hour, and he didn't even mention parts. So that could be included, maybe not. But that's the story of my life. Can't get it lower. It goes higher, it won't go lower. And that Phillips screw that I showed you up underneath there, not the plastic one on the carburetor, but the other one, doesn't make any difference. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching.